All right, this video is going to deal with multiplying radical expressions. We'll do some of the basics right now. Something like this, we're looking at this, and we think of this it's just basically distributing. We have a number in front of the parentheses, a monomial multiplied times a binomial. We learned this earlier, which is basically square root of 5 times the square root of 2, which is just the square root of 10, and then the square root of 5 times 4, plus 4 times the square root of 5. And at this point, there's really not much we can do to simplify. These are different numbers underneath here, so this is our final answer to that one. That's all we can do. In the next problem, okay, now we have the similar thing. The difference is we have a little bit different looking monomials or binomials, but it's the same principle. We have a term here. This is one term right here. Multiplies to this term right here. So this times this. When I multiply those together, I'm going to multiply the numbers outside the square root first. Negative 5 times negative 2. So I'll just write it out. Negative 5 times negative 2 times square root of 5 times square root of 2. That's basically what my mind is thinking. I don't need to write that every time, but right now I just did to make it clear. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10, and then the square root of 10. Oh, whatever I'm thinking. Yeah, that's right. And then the second part of this is multiplying this term times this term here. There's a minus from that, and it's the same principle. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. And square root of 5 times square root of 5 is just 5. If you wrote the square root of 25, it's the same thing, but it comes down to be 5. So the answer would be 10 square root of 10 minus 50, and that would be the final answer to that one. Okay, next problem. This one we have to basically have a binomial times a binomial, and we learned that when we earlier in our math career as FOIL. Basically, the first term. Some people write that out. That only works when it's binomials, but that's what we have. First times the first square root of 3 times square root of 3, that's just 3. Square root of 3 times 1, that's negative 1. Negative square is 1 square root of 3. And this is going to be these, then now we have these two. That's negative 3 square root of 3. And the last one is going to be plus 3. So the final result would be 3 minus the square root of 3 minus 3 square root of 3 plus 3. So 3 plus 3, that's going to be 6. And then minus 4 square root of 3, because there's a 1 right there, imaginary, or invisible, basically. So that's the final answer to that problem. As you might notice, these problems, the structure is the same as we did in 7th and 8th and 9th grade. It's just we have some different looking terms now with the square roots. Same principle here. We'll do FOIL. I'm not going to write it out. We're going to do it this way. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. Negative 3 times negative 4 square root of 3 is plus 12 square root of 3. And now we're done with the square root with the 3. Now we have this right here. That's going to be minus 4 times the square root of 3. We can't do anything with that. One's outside, the one's inside the radical symbol. And then the last one would be this one here. That's going to be minus 4 times 3. You'll notice a couple times I've done that when I could have written it minus 4 times the square root of 9, but the square root of 9 is 3. I'm just skipping a step, where at this point we should be able to do that without trouble. So that becomes 12 plus 12, well, 12 root 3 minus 4 root 3 minus 12. 12 minus 12 cancels. Let's get another color. These guys are going to cancel, and we're left with 8 square root of 3. And that's that. We're going to stop right there.